Hey, Yinz guys and gals, gather round for a journey like no other. It's time to hop on board the Where Yinz Goin podcast, proudly brought to you by Dreams by Design Travel. From the rivers that meet at the point to form downtown Pittsburgh to the furthest corners of the globe, that'll be your compass, your confidant, your companion in that as we explore the wonders of travel. Kick back, relax on your couch, and let the wanderlust wash over Yinz as we discover new horizons and reminisce about old favorites. With Dreams by Design Travel by our side, the sky's the limit. Join Matt on the Where Yinz Goin podcast because when it comes to travel, the journey's just getting started. And now, without further ado, let's give a shout for your guide through the highways and byways of travel, the man with a map, the voice of the steel city, Matt Trader.
How Yinz doing? Welcome to the Where Yinz Goin podcast, brought to you by Dreams by Design Travel. I'm Matt. I'm your host. Joining me today is Amanda, who has been a travel advisor since 2022 with Dreams by Design Travel. She recently got to make her first visit to Disneyland Resort out in California after 25 plus visits to the Walt Disney World Resort in Florida. So welcome to the podcast, Amanda.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I lost count about 25 at some amount between 25 and 30, but it's been a lot.
Whenever it's too high of a number to count, you know it's been good.
Yeah. We became pass holders in the last year, so that upped our count a little bit. We try to get there as often as we can.
Get your money's worth, exactly.
Yeah, it's basically free, right?
After, if you look at how much it would cost for a 10-day ticket and then how much you're going to pay for the annual pass, after the 14 or so days in the park, it is pretty much free visits. So why not?
Yeah, that's what I tell my husband anyway. So the food and the hotel and all that, and it doesn't count when you have the pass.
I mean, you'd be going on a vacation somewhere anyway and spending that money.
Yeah,
so what's the difference?
At least saving money if it's not free.
That's even better. We're saving money with these trips.
Yes, exactly.
You have to talk to my wife a little bit more. Maybe we can convince her. So
yes.
So we are going to talk about Amanda's trip to Disneyland Resort on this podcast. But as we start all of the episodes, what is your favorite place you visited, or is there a place you would like to visit the most?
So my favorites are between St. Thomas really has my heart. That's where we honeymooned, and I love it. It's just a beautiful island, and the people are so friendly, and the flight's not too bad. But I love a Disney cruise, land and sea vacation. So I love to go to Disney World, stay a few days, and then go on a cruise and really relax, but still have that Disney magic.
Do you have a favorite itinerary with the cruises? Is that one that do they go to St. Thomas?
They do. I haven't been to St. Thomas with Disney Cruise Line yet, but my favorite is anywhere that includes Castaway Cay. That's my favorite.
Are you looking forward to the new island with Lighthouse Point in the Bahamas?
Yeah, I am. I'd really like to see that. I don't have anything on the books yet, but we are sailing on the Treasure next year. So
that's so great. And for those who aren't familiar with Disney Cruise Line stuff, the Treasure is, the next ship that's coming out for Disney Cruise Line, and the maiden voyage is right around Christmas this year, right. Correct?
Yep. And we're going to go May next year, so we'll give it a little time to be ready for us.
Work out the kinks, get its sea legs and all that, right?
Right.
Fabulous. So I'm excited. Let's get talking about Disneyland.
Sounds great.
So you got to go on a trip that was with several other of our travel advisors, and you got to see.
I went with the experts.
Got to see a bunch of stuff. Let's start off with the hotels. So there are 3 Disney-owned hotels. The Disneyland Hotel, also has the villas at the Disneyland Hotel, the Disney's Grand California Resort and Spa, and newly reimagined Pixar Place Hotel. And then they also have like 58 good neighbor hotels, which are other hotels just in the neighborhood. But if you're going to go to get the full experience, staying at one of the Disney hotels is the way to go. What did you think of the hotels?
Oh, they were beautiful. So I stayed at the Villas at Disneyland Hotel in the new Discovery Tower. And it was, you know, it's just nice to walk into something that's basically brand new. Everything feels so new and nice. But the whole property was just, it's got the Disney magic. It was feels classic Disney. So it was really nice pick for me.
Did you did you stay in one of the villas or was it just a regular room?
Yes, I
What
stayed in a studio preferred view room. So it had a queen bed and then the queen pull down or Murphy style bed. And it had a ton of room. It would be perfect for a family of four. Had a nice little kitchenette and big bathroom. So it was very convenient.
did you try out the different beds, like one night on one night on the other?
No, I stayed in the regular bed and my stuff stayed on the pull out. So I didn't unpack. I just kind of threw everything on the other bed.
That's how pretty much I do it too. I'm a DVC member, and the one time my home resort is the Saratoga Springs in Walt Disney World, and we usually stay at Old Key West. But one time we stayed at Saratoga Springs, and that's where our next stay too. This January when we go is Saratoga Springs, but they have the Murphy beds, and so we pulled it down. It was just my wife and I when we went, and we tried different beds each time. It was like each night, like let's try this one. Oh no, we'll try the other one tonight. See if it's any better. Oh, I'm not sure which one's better. Let's go back. So we were back and forth trying to see which bed we liked the most.
The only
Although
one
my
I've
wife,
stayed on or tried was at the Riviera, the pull down bed, and they're all really comfy, so you can't really go wrong.
yeah, my wife was nervous laying on. She's like, "There's nothing holding up the bottom of the bed. Is it gonna fall? Are we too heavy?" I was like, "Don't worry.
Yeah,
You're 5 foot tall and maybe 100 pounds. You're not gonna break the bed.
I
Trust
think
me."
I think you're safe. Yeah, you could probably even sleep on the little child size one. I think don't they have those at Saratoga too?
It
The
was not
small.
in. Was it in the room we were in? I know I've seen it in one of the rooms that we stayed in, or at least visited. I know I did a tour of one of the. I think it was the Copper Creek ones or Boulder Ridge that's by the Wilderness Lodge. It might have been that I saw it in person there, or it might have been the room. I can't remember. But yeah, those are neat. For those who aren't familiar, we're talking about like under the TV often is where it's at. There's gonna be, instead of having storage space there or drawers, there's a little pull down bed that is kid size. And often it'll have a neat little mural on the inside whenever you pull it down. So it's like uh, Peter Pan and Tinkerbell flying into the London sky, or it's often something that will be related towards sleep. So it's again Disney fitting with their theming and just being so perfect with that.
Yeah, it makes it somewhere fun that kids actually want to sleep there. So
Yeah. On your headboard, did it light up?
yes,
Oh, that's
yeah.
fabulous. Uh, so
I
there's
still need to
another.
share pictures of my room, but by the time you air this, I'll have pictures of my room posted and the headboard of the main bed lit up, and then there was a really beautiful okay. So let me back up. The studios and the villas are different themed, and so I had Sleeping Beauty. So throughout my room, there was different touches of the movie Sleeping Beauty. And the mural, when you pull down the bed from the wall, is Sleeping Beauty sleeping. But it's the original artwork, so you can see I guess the artist's signature on it, and it's really pretty.
Oh, that's fabulous. Just those great touches that one, it's nice decoration for people who are just staying in it, but for someone who is a Disney fan, and most people going to Disney are Disney fans who will then notice those little nuances can really appreciate that. That's great.
Yeah. So Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather, I think, were on the bathroom mirror, and then there was like more subtle decorations around the TV of the tiara and different. So I know that there's Princess and the Frog theme. That's what a couple of the other agents had. I'm not sure what the other ones were, but I was the only one who had Sleeping Beauty. So
And what I mentioned before about the headboard, is it the headboard on? Well, would you like to describe it, Amanda?
Oh, you go ahead.
So the headboard for the bed that when it has LEDs in it or fiber optics, I'm not sure what the exact technology is, but whenever you turn the lights out in the room, you hit a little button on right by the headboard or on the nightstand or wherever, and it lights up like it's fireworks. And did yours play music as well?
If it did, I did not find that. So it might have, but I didn't. I was
So in
in the
the
room very little because we were only there for 3 nights and we opened up and closed it down. So by the time I got to the room, I pretty much passed out.
yeah, I think the time I stayed at the Disneyland Hotel, I was not in one of the villas. Of course, this was before the villas existed. I don't remember hearing the music. I have video of it, so I'll have to go watch the video if there was music or not. I talked to our boss, Donna, and we have a podcast. If you go several episodes back, it's about the Disneyland hotels. And she said there was music, but what that was not something that stood out in my mind. So I don't know. She said you could turn it off too. So maybe it was muted. But
Yeah,
having
I either
the
didn't find the switch or I didn't have that feature.
yeah, but the headboard having the lights go up like it's fireworks. That my it was on I was like 35 years old when I went and I found it like in the middle of the night. I woke up and hit a button and when I was like and I got excited about it. I can just imagine a little kid seeing that and
Yeah,
just making little touches like that to just make it so amazing.
yeah. They're everywhere from the moment you pull up to the resort. Before you even walk in, you feel, you're home and it's just magical and beautiful and makes you excited for your stay.
Did you do the mobile check-in using the app or did you go to the front desk and check in?
I did do the mobile check-in, but I stopped at the front desk because it was my first time. And, one of my hot tips is if you stop at the front desk, you are more likely to receive a little pixie dust. It's not something that's um, for certain things, but sometimes you'll get lucky and you may get a room upgrade or just something special at the front desk. But I like to stop by just because I wasn't familiar with everything so they could help explain where I needed to go. And I got my first time visitor pin. So just clip that on my backpack for the week and found my room.
That is another great tip that whenever you go to any Disney park, they have pins. And one is the first visit pin. If it's your first visit, absolutely get one. They have the happily ever after ones if you're on a honeymoon or celebrating a wedding anniversary. They have generic ones that are just I'm celebrating and you can fill in whatever you've done. And I usually get an I'm celebrating button and I have some reason I will write on it that we have something to celebrate, no matter how
And
minute
your
it is.
birthday. They have the birthday ones too. So
Yes.
I
Oh,
try
yeah.
to
The
get
birthday
you
ones
those.
are big too.
Yeah. But then as you walk around, people say, congratulations or happy birthday. And especially for the kids, it makes it even more, makes them feel special and a little more exciting.
Yeah. We've always gotten well, at least for my little girl with her first visits and my wife on hers. And my first visit to Disneyland, I got mine too. I still have them all. They're saved. They're
Yeah, I
special
do
keepsakes.
too. It's a nice free keepsake that you can take home and keep forever. So there aren't many free things when you vacation, and that's something special that you can have and keep and put in a scrapbook or a decoration or anything.
And one of the really neat things about the lobby is that they have this is for all the Disney hotels. They have little TVs with little chairs, kid-sized chairs. So whenever you're busy checking in, the kid has, and the TVs have Disney cartoons on them. So the kids can go watch Disney cartoons and maybe some people who are not kids also stand there a bit and watch the Disney cartoons as well. I'm not
Yeah.
saying I do it or anything, but okay, yeah, I do it.
And after a long day of traveling, it's nice to not have your kids saying, "Is our room ready yet? Come on, what are we doing?" Because they can relax for a minute and have their own space. I think there were even teacup shaped booths in the lobby at Disneyland Hotel.
Yeah, the chairs are
Mhm.
shaped like the teacups, and that's just such a neat feature.
Yeah, the details
The,
are everywhere.
yeah, and of course, the Disneyland Hotel has the monorail slides, in
Oh
their
my
pool.
gosh, that's so fun. My son
That
would have loved that.
there's water slides, and the top part of it is shaped like a monorail car. So you're like sliding
Mhm.
down through the monorail car, and then you go down in the pool. So
And
again,
they
even my
actually, I think they just refurbed before I got there, was they have a Steamboat Willie splash area, and it's boat with Steamboat Willie and around the pool. And that was really cool too.
yeah, so there's two pool areas. So the Disneyland Hotel has four towers, and the monorail pool and a couple other pools are in the middle of it. And then behind the Discovery Tower, the new one with the villas, they have the Steamboat Willie splash pad and the pallet pool. It's they'll have a little boat for the kids to play in, and water shoots up and things like that. And the pallet pool area has colored glass like as a canopy over the lounge area, and that just looks so neat. That the touches of it.
Yep, the Imagineers definitely know what they're doing. I get excited at 35 to walk around and see all of it. So
Yeah. So going into the parks, let's start with Disneyland. Walking under the through the tunnel as you first enter, and well, for those who aren't familiar, the layout of Disneyland. What was your impression of the first time you saw Disneyland after being in Disney World so many times?
so I am a mom of a 14-year-old and an almost 1-year-old. So I've taken my now 14-year-old and now the baby in the stroller and everything else. So my first thought was, oh my gosh, this is great. You don't have to take a bus. You don't have to break a stroller down several times and all of that. You just walk in. It's right there. It's so close. Um, it's just so convenient to stay at one of the three Disney hotels, and even the Good Neighbor hotels, several are very close. But being able to just walk into the park and it being so close to your room, and thinking, if I do get exhausted in the afternoon, it's really convenient to run back to my room and take a quick nap or change or whatever you need to do because it's so close. I don't think people understand um, really the convenience of that, because as much as I love Disney World, it can take up to an hour sometimes to leave your resort and be in the park after you get through security and the bus or whatever your mode of transportation is. So that was really nice.
It was episode 7 of this podcast that we just compared Disney World and Disneyland. And Disney, so in Disney World, Animal Kingdom Park is bigger than the entire Disneyland Resort. So Disneyland's like 500 acres completely. And
Yes.
for the layout, the Disneyland Hotel is on one far end of it. Then it connects directly to Downtown Disney District, which then runs down to where the two parks are. If you're walking from the Disneyland Hotel through Downtown Disney, whenever you get to the big plaza esplanade area, to the left will be Disneyland Park, and to the right is Disney California Adventure Park. And it would take a 15-minute walk, if that.
Yeah, if that.
And there is the monorail, which is very close to the Disneyland Hotel that you could take, and it will take you directly into Tomorrowland. So make sure you will need a ticket to board it and ride it, unlike at Disney World. But all right, so you got down there, get to see the big floral Mickey in front, not
Yeah,
have to worry about buses or anything.
that was so nice. So the first thing, I think it's most comparable probably if you've ever been to Universal and City Walk, the layout of that. And that's one of my favorite things about going to Universal, is that everything's so close, but it's even closer than that. It's less spread out. So being able to park hop and go back and forth, you can ride you had your top 10 rides at both parks. You can easily walk around and hit all of them. That was really nice. The tiny castle does stick out if you're used to Disney World, how small the castle in Disneyland is. But it was really cool to be able to walk through it and into it and see the Sleeping Beauty story. And so that's something that you don't get to do in Disney World.
Yeah, so the in Walt Disney World, Cinderella Castle is 189 feet tall. Sleeping Beauty Castle in Disneyland is only 77 feet tall. So the the size difference in the scale is so much smaller in Disneyland. Just the height of things, like even Main Street, the buildings are only, well, not even 2 stories tall. They're modeled to 2 stories, where Disney World is modeled to 3 stories, but they're really like 2.5 with the forced perspective. That it's shorter, and as you mentioned, you can walk through the castle, and there's little Sleeping Beauty dioramas and displays set up, and it tells the story of Sleeping Beauty. So it's a neat little thing to actually go into the castle that you don't get if you're used to Disney World, of just walking through it and seeing the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique and the big Cinderella mural on the side.
Right. Yep. So that was nice. And um, no matter which resort you're staying out of the three, it's still a very easy walk into the parks. And if you're at Pixar Place or Grand Californian, you can actually walk into the parks from your hotel, right?
Well, into Grand Californian, or
Yeah.
into the California Adventure Park. Yeah, both Pixar Place and Grand Californian have their special entrances that take you into either the side or sort of the back of the park rather than going through the front entrance.
And some of the, well, Stephanie, one of the agents, was staying at Pixar Place, so we got to walk through the lobby and tour her room and go into the park that way one day. So that's another great hotel. I could not believe how just the theming and the intricate design throughout the hotel and her room. I would have been just as happy to have stayed there also. You walk in and Joe from Soul is playing piano in the lobby, and it looks like you plucked right out of the movie and sat there. And
And
so,
this is a real live person who just
yes,
looks that much like Joe, with the hat and the glasses and the outfit.
yep,
And he's just as good at playing the piano.
just as good. He did a great job. We were very entertained.
And then they have Luxo, the lamp on a ball from the Pixar
Oh,
mascot, in there too.
yes, yep. And you can meet Bing Bong from Inside Out. He's stationed in there throughout the day. So,
There's a difference. You don't typically get to meet the characters at hotels in Walt Disney World. So
yes,
you can actually,
it's very rare, whereas they're scheduled. So even if you don't have a park day, your kids can meet characters and have a great resort day.
so going back to Disneyland, all right, walking down Main Street, did you get to see, you didn't get to go in the Walt's apartment, did you? Did you get to see
We
it
did
from the
not get to
outside
go
though?
in. I stood in front of the firehouse and got to see the lamp lit up, and that was really special.
So yeah, Walt Disney, when they were building Disneyland, he lived like up in Burbank. And so it was a bit of a drive. So instead of having to go back and forth all the time, they built and even after Disneyland was open, rather than have to drive back and forth all the time, they built an apartment above the firehouse on Main Street, USA. And if you take certain tours, you can actually, behind the scenes tours, you can actually go into the apartment. And it's set up just as it was back when Walt lived. And they have a little lamp though that's in the window. It was kind of leaving the lamp on for Walt to
Yeah,
show you his presence still in the park.
yeah, it's really special to walk around and know that he was there, and um, he didn't just inspire it, but he had was the force behind the park and had a hand in everything. So it was really, for somebody who loves Disney, it was very special to go and be able to experience that.
Did you notice a difference with the cast members?
I think I remember hearing you and Stephanie talk about that, and I can't say that that was my experience. Not that it was bad in any way, but um, I guess I've just never had any different experience at Walt Disney World and have met such great cast members. But everybody was super nice and accommodating, and we had a great time. I don't have any complaints.
Yeah, we'll have to get you back more so you can have more Matt Pixie Dust and maybe get you one of those. But no,
Yeah.
There were a few instances that I ran to cast members. I don't know. I was traveling alone at the time, so maybe they just felt bad for me that I was all by myself. So, um, so going through the castle into Fantasyland, and then so walking through the castle, getting into Fantasyland, what'd you think? Because it's different.
It is different. It's funny because it's, the most comparable thing I think is Magic Kingdom, probably, in Disney World, Walt Disney World, but it's like it feels familiar, but different at the same time. Like, that doesn't belong here, or, that's new. And so it was neat to see things that I'm familiar with. They're a little different, but my priority definitely was to try and experience all of the attractions um, that are not the same or that are totally different from Walt Disney World. And I got to experience many, like, I'm trying to think, in Fantasyland.
There's the Scary Adventures of Snow White.
Yes, we did that, and I know it's not the original that made children cry. They made some adjustments, and I like that, and Alice in Wonderland, and it I didn't do the count on it, but it did seem like there were at least as many, maybe more rides that small children could enjoy without a height requirement, but it might be comparable to Magic Kingdom. I haven't ran the numbers. What do you think?
Well, I think the Disneyland Fantasyland is bigger. They definitely have more things there because there's both of them have Peter Pan. Disneyland has the Winnie the Pooh ride, but it's not in Fantasyland. It's over in Critter Country, but it's basically the same ride. Disneyland has the Snow White one, Pinocchio, Mr. Toad, the Storybook Land Canal Boats, Casey Jr., uh, Train. Both have It's a Small World, but I like the Disneyland version better. The exterior is so amazing, especially if you can go around Christmas time, how it's all lit up.
Yeah, I would love to experience that. But It's a Small World was great. It seemed a little longer, but the outside is gorgeous. All of the details, and they have all of the so many Disney characters in the ride, so it was fun kind of pointing them out and finding them. I think Little Mermaid's in there, and Stitch is even in there, and several of the characters.
Yeah, did you get to see was the clock working out front?
I'm not sure. I
So
think
every
it
15
was.
every 15 minutes, they have a clock out front that will has the door shut and it will open up to show the time. And they have a little parade of little figures from all, the different characters that are in It's a Small World, and they process around a little circle out from the middle, and they go around. So you see a little show every 15 minutes. The last time we were there, the little characters did not work though.
I don't remember seeing that, but I will say, so before I left, my teenager made me feel very guilty about this agency trip, because we've always talked about going, and he just threw a fit that I was going without him. So we were actually supposed to go to Walt Disney World next week, and after my trip, we rearranged, and we're all going out, the family, back to California and experiencing Disneyland and Disney's California Adventure, and one day at Universal Hollywood. So I'll keep an eye out on the clock this time, because I can't say that I noticed.
Yeah, it's every 15 minutes. So if you're just walking by normally, if the timing's not right, you will not notice it. So you either have to be lucky to see it or make a point to look at it.
Yeah, keep an eye out. So
Uh,
2 days is hard to, keep all of those things in mind and see. We did as much as we could, but I definitely think you need more than 2 days. You need at least three to be able to see most things.
my first trip, I had 5 park days. Whenever I checked into the hotel, they're like, "Yo, you're here for 5 days?" Like, it's like, yeah, I'm getting the most of my
Yeah.
trip out here.
I don't think that's too many. I'm sure a lot of local people probably do on weekends, but I know I'm used to going to Walt Disney World, and we try to at least have a 7-day vacation and go to the parks 5 days. So I think you're used to trying to squeeze in as much as you can and make sure you can see everything. But 2 days is not enough for sure.
Yeah, you need at least. Our last trip was, and well, the other two trips to Disneyland I took were 3 days each in the park, and I think that's pretty good. You can see pretty much everything that you want. If you can stay a fourth or a fifth day, then you get to see. You have the time to wait an extra line to see something you might have missed, or see your favorites again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
So, did you get to do the Matterhorn?
Yes, we did. Yep, that was an adventure.
It's the world's first tubular track coaster, and it kind of feels like it. It's a rough ride.
It's a little. So the rides that most of us did as a group were the most fun. We all make each other laugh, and but we were getting on the ride, and I don't like. It's not my water rides are not my preference. I don't like to get wet and walk around, and I'm okay with a water park because I know, I'm going to do that and then change and be dry. I do not really care for water rides. And another agent and I, Marcy, went to step in and the seat was wet. I was like, what is that? Why is it wet? And the cast member was like, the water's right there. You can see it. You might get splashed. So we were laughing the whole time, and we had a great time. So yeah, I probably needed to see a chiropractor after, but it was a lot of fun.
A few other things. Well, you can guide us. Did you get to go into, or where do you want to go next? Do you have a preference?
I don't know. It's all because it was 2 days. It feels a little bit like a blur.
So
So
much.
I'll let you you lead. But my favorite rides at Disneyland, or the ones that I really enjoyed, the Matterhorn was that I did like the Matterhorn. Space Mountain was a little. I get a little motion sick when things have like the 3D type feature, and while you're not wearing glasses or anything, the way the lights spin, and that was a little much for me. But I liked Snow White. I liked Pirates of the Caribbean. Kills the Walt Disney World version, I think. It's longer, and the beginning is so fun, and I loved Pirates of the Caribbean.
And for the differences that you start off, the queue, whenever you enter, you get to see the boats come by you. And there's a little beachy area with a little like crab and some other things on it that it kind of helps set the tone. And seeing the boats go by, I think builds a little bit of anticipation for you a little bit better.
Yeah.
And then whenever you get in, you board, you get to go through a little lagoon, and it goes through the Blue Bayou restaurant. And it's, like starlit atmosphere, and you see people sitting off to your right and eating. There's some little houses off to your left that are, little shacks sitting on the water. They kind of reminds me of the atmosphere with the three caballeros in Mexico,
Yeah.
the Grand Fiesta Tour, with the
Vibe.
beginning of that, how it goes through the restaurant. But then you get 2 drops on Pirates of the Caribbean instead of just 1.
Yep, that was surprising.
And
I said I didn't like getting wet on rides, but I got a little wet on that one, and it was still fun.
And do you know why there's two drops?
I think it's because it has to take you into the berm. The ride extends into the ride show building. And the only reason I know that is because my son and I just watched the inside the attraction on Pirates of the Caribbean on Disney Plus just a few days ago. So
yeah, it has to get under the train tracks is really the thing. It has to get down low enough to get under the train tracks to get into the show building. Yeah. And then it's longer. And then at the very end, it's even better because you went down a waterfall to get in, and to get out, you go up the waterfall.
Yep.
Which that is, I don't think they have that in Disney World. Did you get off at just a lower level and then you take the ramp? Do you take the ramp up? And so you ride up it on foot.
The stairless escalator up.
Yeah. That's a nice way to describe it. That you don't get to do that in Disney World. I think that's so neat, going up the waterfall. Just the idea of that. It's just kind of absurd, but it works.
Yep. So I really enjoyed that one. And I think we're going to try to eat at that restaurant when we go back because that would be a fun experience, I think, to sit there and watch it. Or it's Pinocchio's, what is the restaurant name in Magic Kingdom that you can look out at?
The Village House. Yeah.
Yes.
It looks over, it's a small world.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to go into Mickey's Toontown?
We spent a little time in there and we got to ride the Who Framed Roger Rabbit ride. My Disney nomenclature regarding Disneyland is not as up to par as my Walt Disney World nomenclature. So I'm not as familiar with saying it often, but that was neat. I hadn't seen that movie in forever. So when you get out and you walk and there's the dog pound, the bars that move, and all the areas that the kids can run around in. I thought that was great.
I haven't, so last time we were there was December of 2022. So it was right before they opened. I think they opened in March. So we didn't get to see it. But the previous times I was there, that is such a great interactive area for kids of things that you are encouraged to pull and touch and climb through things, and you get rewarded with little interactions and sound effects and whatever else. That it just makes it a real nice area for kids.
When my son was younger, we would say, get the wiggles out. And so that's a great place to go and get the wiggles out, especially when you expect little ones to wait in line for, hours at a time sometimes. It's great to let them run around and be kids and get some of that energy out.
But the cartoon spin, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is one of my favorite movies of all time. There's just something about that, the combination of animation and real life that just, it reaches me.
Yeah, and it's like a kid's movie for adults. So
exactly. But the cartoon spin, you basically get in recreations of Benny the cab, and it does spin. And it's a dark ride that you're going around, but the car does spin too. So don't eat right before you go on it.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
You mentioned the Blue Bayou restaurant. Did you get to see where Club 33 is, or are you familiar with Club 33?
Yes, Donna pointed that out to me as we were walking around. I think past Pirates, if I remember right. But she pointed that out, and I know about it, but I obviously have never been in it.
Yeah, it's a private club that sits above New Orleans Square that you need to be a member to join, and it costs an awful lot of money to join. And then each time you eat there also costs an awful lot of money. I did a tour my first time there that I got to go into the lobby of it. And that was as far as we could get. But if you walk around just Northern Square, look for doors that have the address 33 on them. And there are two. There's the main entrance, and there's like another back entrance. And they'll have like a little electronic keypad thing, like a buzzer you can talk into. And, that's where the entrance is. Doesn't get you into the building to see it or anything, but it's just neat to know that there's something special behind that door.
Yes, rich people. No.
Rich people. Did you get to go on the Mark Twain or the sailing ship Columbia?
I did not. No. We walked through the tree house.
How was that? I saw the old version when it was
if
Tarzan.
If you're afraid of heights, I do not recommend that you look down, but it has a lot of detail and it was nice to walk around. It seemed like Disneyland might have more, because there's the Swiss Robinson treehouse at Walt Disney World, but it just seemed like maybe there were more places that you could walk through and explore and feel like you were in an attraction without having to wait in line for a ride. So I think the treehouse is one of those things, and like you said, Toontown is another.
Yeah, they just refurbished the treehouse. They were working on it when we were there, and they went back to sort of the Swiss Family Robinson theme, but not exactly our exact recreation of what Disney World has. So I guess they made it a little bit wider to accommodate more people and not have to stand behind the people in front of you.
Yeah, people, when you're afraid of the heights and you need a minute, the others can go around you.
Does anything else stand out to you in Disneyland Park? Did you do Big Thunder Mountain Railroad.
Yes, that seemed. It was very similar, I think, to Walt Disney World, but maybe a little more tame or less jerky. I don't know, but it was very similar, and we did that. We actually did that one a couple of times, and then you know, Galaxy's Edge is there, which that was one of those things. It was like one of these things doesn't belong because I'm used to it being at Hollywood Studios.
Mm-hmm.
But that was exactly the same, I think, or very similar.
I think I noticed one difference that one of the spaceships is in a different area compared to the Florida version. So, and the other weird thing about Disneyland, at least weird for me, is that Star Tours is in Tomorrowland.
Yes, that throws you off too. I was talking to my son about that because he loves Star Wars and he'll be excited to see all those things. But it also is like it has some of your favorite parts from Walt Disney World kind of sprinkled throughout Disneyland.
Did you get to go on the Indiana Jones adventure?
It was,
I forget the
yes,
official name of it.
and it was down almost the whole time until the second half of our last day, and that was one of the things that was like my top three. I really wanted to do the Indiana Jones ride, and again, I also cannot think of the official name, but it was so much fun.
It's the Legend of the Forbidden Eye.
Uh, Something like that. It sounds close. Forbidden
Yeah,
Temple, I think.
that's it. Yeah, Forbidden Temple.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it reminds me of the dinosaur ride in Animal Kingdom. It's the same ride vehicle and very rough, so hold on tight.
Yes. And it's funny because I really don't care for dinosaur, but I loved Indiana Jones. And I think it's just because of the story, because you're right, it is almost identical the way that the ride vehicle moves and you get tussled around. But it was great. I think the theming was so good.
The theming and the special effects, and even the queue whenever you're getting your safety instructions, it's in the form of an old time movie. And John Rhys Davies is up there like Salah, and he's talking, and it's like an old movie reel, but they still give you this information for that. And it's cleverly done.
Yeah, that one was a lot of fun. I'm happy that we were able to do that. Because the other thing that I wanted to do, but it's closed for refurbishment, is Haunted Mansion. I did not get to experience Haunted Mansion in Disneyland.
I like the stretching room there because it is actually an elevator. You actually do go down as opposed to the Disney World where the ceiling goes up.
Yes.
Again, getting underneath the train tracks to get outside to get to the show building. Let's jump over to Disney California Adventure Park, walking in Buena Vista Street, and you want to take a left or a right? We can either go to Hollywood Land or to Grizzly Peak, or go
Let's
straight
move
ahead, really, if you want.
it.
We can go to Cars Land.
Yeah, let's go to Cars Land because I was so impressed with Cars Land. That was probably just the theming there, I think, is almost comparable to when you walk in Galaxy's Edge and you feel like you're on that too. You say that because I know I'm not going to say it right.
That too, yeah.
Yes. It's just you feel like you're in the movie and you're in Radiator Springs, from the restaurants to the several rides. It is just so lovely. And if you had a little one that was into the movie Cars, oh my gosh, they would have just a field day there.
And they, as Amanda said, they did a fabulous job with the theming. That walking down the street there is like you are going down the main street in Radiator Springs. And you got Flo's V8 on the side, and then going into the back with Radiator Springs Racers. Did you get a chance to ride them?
I I don't know if it was my favorite ride on this trip, but it was up there. It might have been. I love that. I thought it was so fun. Um, Similar kind of to the test track car experience, but 1,000 times better with the theming and how you race the other car and you get excited. It was just, it's just the best ride. I cannot wait have my family experience that.
Having that little bit of competition with the race at the end and having more of a playful theme of it, and just the job they did of it. You're going through the first part of it's like a nice Sunday drive through the desert. It's like you are in the movie Cars with the waterfall and the bridge in the background, and it is so stunning. And then going to the inside part and seeing Mater and going tractor tipping with him and
Yeah.
going through the little town, that it is, that is how you do a ride. That is how you do one.
And Lightning McQueen and like you said, Mater, but it's just well done, and it feels like you're really in the movie. From every element was just so immersive and sweet and exciting. It just has all the best feels.
And there's a little bit of comedy in there too. So
Yes, yeah. And it's the race is totally by chance. There's no algorithm. You don't know who's going to win. It's just completely up to chance and random, which is so fun because you are surprised every time.
yeah, you can't predict it. I'm on the left or I'm on the right or I'm in the blue car, whatever it.
Yeah.
There might be a pattern to it or something, but none that I've noticed in the times I've read it.
So one of the agents who went on the Adventures by Disney trip said that they told them that it is completely random. They have a way to know which cars. I'm sure there's, the science behind it. Somebody will know, but the ride operators have no way to know. It's just a surprise every time.
Well, I have a background in computer programming, so you can do a random number generator thing that it can just randomly choose which one. So that's a neat thing to add to it if that's how they decided on it.
So I think that and Incredicoaster were probably my two favorite experiences at Disney's California Adventure.
I rode the Incredicoaster back when it was California Screaming. They didn't change the track, they changed the theming of it, but that is probably the smoothest roller coaster I've ever been on, with the exception of maybe Slinky Dog Dash. And it's not that it's better, they're just equally the same. But the Incredicoaster has a loop in it.
Yes.
So
go upside down.
Adds a little bit to it, but it is such a smooth ride that it was so fun. And the views from up the lift hill are amazing too.
It was. I'm sad that I only got to do it once. That'll be on our list for when we go back next. We'll be in line for that a couple times, I'm sure, because my son is definitely a thrill seeker, so he'll be dragging me through all of those.
And another nice thing about the Incredicoaster is it has a single rider line.
Yes.
So does Radiator Springs Racers as well. So going on once with your family to enjoy that atmosphere and that experience with loved ones, especially for the first time, is definitely recommended. But after that, especially, if it's a 14-year-old son and he's like, Mom, I don't want to really ride with you. Okay.
It's usually mom needs a break because I've ridden this twice in a row and I'm going to pass out. So I'll wait at the exit for you. You go enjoy it.
And that's, yeah, getting older now. I need more breaks after rides. I used to kind of laugh at my dad and my parents and like, oh, come on, you wimp, come on, let's go again. And
yeah.
I fully understand. I understand now. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad.
Yes. I'm usually okay if we're walking to the next ride and I have a minute and the air is blowing in my face. But if it's just hop back on, that's when I need a rest.
Did you do the Pixar Pal Around, the big Ferris wheel?
No. And I told Donna, she was talking about doing it. I said, I'll hold everybody's bags and I'll try everything, but I'm not doing that.
I did it with one of the stationary. So yeah, they have stationary cars and then they have swinging cars.
I could have done the stationary probably, but I was out on the swinging. So it was too much for me.
Yeah, I did stationary. My excuse was that we have our little well, she was 3 at the time. She's 4 now. That she was going on, and she wouldn't like the swing anymore, and neither would my wife. So I was being, gentlemanly and looking out for them. I wasn't being scared myself. No, of course not.
Right.
Incredicoaster is on Pixar Pier along with the Pixar Pal Around. They have Toy Story Midway Mania. That's such a fun ride.
Yeah. I'm very competitive, so I enjoy those rides where you have a little bit of competition.
I have to start tracking my high score to see if I can beat it after the different visits.
Yeah.
The one thing that is interesting about Pixar Pier is that as you go along, they have more traditional carnival and amusement park rides, like the Silly Symphony swings and little, I don't know, like little airplanes you can control that go in and out and swing
Yeah.
around. Then, did you do Goofy Sky School?
Yes, I thought that was such a cute ride. It's kind of in the middle between, the kids' rides and the more intense rides. It's a good middle or introduction, I would say, if your little one wants to ride a coaster. But it reminded me of the primeval world that used to be at Animal Kingdom a little bit, and
Oh, absolutely. They're
we
might
laughed
even have the
the
same
whole
track.
ride.
Yeah, they're wild mouse rides, as was the general term for them. So it's a little roller coaster and no big hills, but there's a lot of sharp turns. So hold
Yeah,
on tight on that one too.
yeah. You might think that you're going over the edge, but you'll make it down.
The theming on that is really cute too. That it's
Yeah,
Goofy teaching you to fly, and there are little signs of how to take off, how to turn, how to barrel roll, or how to land, or whatever they are.
right.
Right before you get to do a different little thing of how to turn when you're going a couple quick turns, how to land. You know you're going to get towards the end. So the
I went
timing on
on
that
it
is
with
real good.
Donna, and I think she screamed the whole ride. And so I don't know if I noticed any of that, but I was laughing.
In the Grizzly Peak area, they have the Grizzly Peak Rapids, or I forget the exact name of it. It's a water ride that, as Amanda just mentioned, we know she did not do that one. I've never done that one
Skip
either
that one.
because I'm the same way. Typically, we do our trips to Disney in January or December, somewhere around there with the cooler months. So getting completely soaked is not always a great feeling.
Yeah,
Actually, the last time we were in Disneyland, maybe one day got to the mid 60s. It was cold there. It was like in
yeah,
the 50s most of the time. So that would have not been a pleasant experience. Although they turn the water down on that, so you won't get completely soaked in colder weather. So they do control that, especially also on, well, what was Splash Mountain was now going to be Tiana's Bayou Adventure. So colder weather, you don't get completely soaked all the time. Although whenever we rode it with in Disney World, I was always on the right hand side of the car or the log, and I always got splashed and wet. And my wife's like, "This is so much fun. Let's do it again." Like, I'm soaked now.
yeah.
No.
I'm fine.
How about you sit on that side?
Yeah,
See how you
let's
like it.
switch.
Did you do the in Paradise Gardens, which is where they have like that's where the traditional rides, amusement park rides are. Did you do the Ariel ride, the Little Mermaid?
I don't think we had time for that one. So we definitely prioritized the rides that were different
Different.
from Walt Disney World. And I
Yeah, the
didn't
Little
get to
Mermaid
do the
one
Little
is pretty
Mermaid.
much the same as the one from Magic Kingdom.
Yeah,
Although
which
I
I
like
love. I do love the Little Mermaid, but we skipped that one.
the setting in Disney World is better, that it's more of the rocks and the ocean type thing. In Disneyland, it's just sort of a building, which is a little bit disappointing,
Yeah,
but it's the same thing. So
that's a good queue in Walt Disney World, the Little Mermaid.
yeah. Did you get to go on Mission Breakout, Guardians of
Oh
the
my
Galaxy?
gosh, that was so fun. I love Tower of Terror at Hollywood Studios, so I was excited about this. Um, and I might even like it better because with the Guardians, it was funny. You're laughing almost the whole time if you're not screaming, and the music's great, and the the queue is fun to look around and see all the details. And I wish we could have done that one again. That was so much fun.
there's more to see. So it's basically the same ride through as Tower of Terror because it was the same building in terms of the action that the car goes through. But there's more to see on Mission Breakout than there is on Tower of Terror, because Tower of Terror is mainly it's too dark, and they show a little bit of the the holograms of the ghosts and everything, but little part where you're actually moving through, there's more comedy elements with the Guardians of the Galaxy that I thought was great. My wife, who's a huge fan of Tower of Terror, did not like it. Did not like Guardians of the Galaxy, but she's also not a Marvel fan at all, and I don't think she knew who any of those characters were. I don't think she's ever seen any of the movies.
Yeah.
So there was a disconnect there, but I agree. I thought it was fabulous.
And you definitely dropped more. It seemed it almost seemed longer. I don't know if it is or not, but I think it's probably a generational thing. My son, who's 14 now, loved Marvel. He was Iron Man for probably 5 Halloweens, super into the movies. And so I was also super into them. And we watched them a million times. So it was fun to see all that. And I think that, most generations don't know the Twilight Zone, and it can be a little scary. So it's a ride that kids are more likely to enjoy and know the characters and have fun, I think. Still thrilled,
Yeah.
but also fun and comedic.
What'd you think of the rest of Avengers Campus?
I thought it was great. And one of the differences, I think, between Walt Disney World and in California is that the characters walk around freely. Black Panther stopped and chatted with us and took a selfie, and it was fun to see the characters walking around, and you don't get the Avengers in Walt Disney World. So I like that. We did the web slingers. As competitive as I am, I was the worst in our car. I couldn't figure out how everybody else's scores were so high. But that was a lot of fun too, and a little bit of a workout.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of it's a ride through. It's very similar to the Toy Story Mania, where you go through and then you're trying to shoot things with your webs on the screen. And so there's a fun added element of that. And the technology to do that is pretty neat. That you're just doing the Spider-Man, like tapping your
with your arm, yeah.
your finger thing, yeah.
Yep.
So the recognition software. Did you go to San Francisco Square? There's a mouthful to say, huh?
We did walk through there and saw the bridge. But I don't know that we spent a lot of time there.
There's not a whole lot to do there. There's food. It's basically a glorified food court.
Yeah, we definitely spent most time riding attractions and less time eating, but we did eat at Lamplight Lounge in California Adventure, and that was pretty good. And we enjoyed the World of Color dessert party, which was really nice.
In World of Color, they have by Pixar Pier, they have a big lagoon, and they squirt water up on jets and do projections on it. So it's similar to what some of those things they do in Epcot with their nighttime show. This one specifically dedicated towards that. And it's a neat nighttime show.
Yeah, it's got something for everyone. It's got, from The Lion King to Star Wars, it covers all the bases, and it was really well done. It's a nice way to end your day at the park, for sure.
Speaking of Star Wars, did they still have, whenever you went on Space Mountain, was it regular Space Mountain or was it Hyper Space Mountain?
For the times that my eyes were open, I believe it was regular Space Mountain.
Okay. So, like to celebrate May the 4th, and they have a Star Wars thing, it probably just ended, I think went just through early June. So you probably just missed it, that they have a Star Wars overlay on Space Mountain. And it makes it, well, I'm a big Star Wars fan. So if you can go during that May-June time with your son, who's a big Star Wars fan, he will love it. As you're going through and they'll project like a Star Destroyer on the ceiling, and you will hear the comm chatter from X-wings in your ear,
Yeah,
and
that was
so it's like you're in one of the battles in the movies.
yep.
It was just so amazing. And did you do the so on in Hollywood Land? They have Mickey's PhilharMagic, which is also in Disneyland, or excuse me, in Magic Kingdom and Disney World. But they have the Monsters Inc. ride.
Yes, that was great.
I was
Seeing
disappointed
all
we
the
did not get
characters and Roz at the end, and that was a cute ride.
the queue for that's really cute too. It sets you up like you're in the original movie, and there's a
Yeah,
kid loose in Monstropolis, and you have to go with Boo, and you have to find the doors, and it's a really well done attraction there. That I was upset that we could not do that with my little girl. That we had it on the agenda, and then we got sidetracked with doing something else. And by the time we went back to it, the line was too long for her to wait, and
yeah.
it would have been a miserable experience. But it's something
The
to do on the
scene
next
with
trip.
yeah, something to look forward to. The scene with all the doors, I just thought was so cool when you're going through and you see just the lines of all the doors and the monsters you're going to go through. Oh, that was really, really cool.
So I think we hit all of Disney California Adventure. Other than, did you do Soarin'?
I didn't, but I did get to experience soaring over California when it was at Epcot for um, a limited time earlier in the year. It actually might still be there. I'm not sure, but um, that's there were several rides that, in comparison, I really thought were done better at Disneyland and Disney's California Adventure. Soaring over the world, though, I think is much better than soaring over California.
I go the other way. I like the California version better.
The
It,
transitions just aren't good. I think that's
that
one of my
yeah,
favorite parts.
I think that the reason I don't like the Soarin' Around the World is I think the CGI is a bit too obvious,
Yeah,
and
I could see
that's
that.
what goes me away from it. But I do agree that the transitions are very good that they have set up in Soarin' Around the World.
Yeah, you
But
actually think that you're going to get splashed with the water, and which you do a little bit, but
and then
all
if
the
with the,
sand when it blows up and everything.
yes, they do and it's very believable. And even though I know it's not real, I always find myself ducking and picking up my feet and
Yeah, closing your
moving out
eyes.
of the way anyway. No matter which version you go on, though, getting to smell the oranges is always awesome.
Yes,
So I think
that's a
we.
favorite. I do love Thorn.
Oh, and did you get to ride the monorail?
I didn't get to ride the monorail. That's something I'm definitely going to do next week.
So yeah, it's different than Disney World. That it's actually takes you into the park and takes you around the park a little bit. So I like the ride going into the park a bit better because you go over it and you get to. It's a real nice way to kind of orient yourself, especially if you haven't been there. Or be, oh, look, that looks so neat.
Yeah,
It's a nice hype builder.
gives you the bird's eye view.
Yeah, so it gives you something you don't normally see on the ground. And then downtown Disney District, 19 different stores and 23 restaurants, and things like the Lego store, the Marceline Confectionery, Pin Traders, Star Wars Trading Post, the World of Disney. So those are my favorites, at least. It's not. There are some specialty things that are more you're going to get with a California locale than you do with what you see in Florida, but it's a shopping dining district. It's smaller than what you get in Florida, but it's a nice thing that it's nice that it's so convenient and close to the parks that the one time we left Disneyland Park, got on the monorail, took it to uh, downtown Disney, and got something to eat for dinner. So
Yeah,
the convenience is so nice.
yeah, and it's nice that you can visit without needing a ticket into the parks. You can walk around with Disney or Pin Traders and get the Disney feel without going into the park. So it's a good rest day option too.
Are you a pin trader, Amanda?
Yes. we're not on screen, but I could show you our pin board. Is we have a pretty good collection going. So my son, that's something that we've done since he was little. We like to, I don't know, we're probably more collector than we are trader, but we do trade sometimes when we see something good.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm more of a pin collector than a trader. So
Yeah. Every time we try to get one at every hotel we stay at, and the rides are a favorite, and some of the collections that come out, we like to try and get as many as we can.
I would be a pin trader, but every one I get, it's like, oh, that is so neat. I want to keep that. I'm not giving it
Yeah,
away.
I like this one.
So I think it was a pretty good overview of your impressions of Disneyland and your thoughts of it and things to see. Is there anything else you wanted to add of anything that stood out to you or anything else?
No, just I think that people, so I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, and I can fly to Orlando nonstop in 2 hours. And so that's really the reason why we've gone to Walt Disney World, is because it's convenient. And I think there's a notion that um, if you've been to Walt Disney World, you don't necessarily need to visit Disneyland. And I just don't think that's the case. There's so many different, it's a different experience in so many ways. And while there are some similarities, um, it's the same magic that you feel when you're in Walt Disney World, but it's a different experience. So I would highly recommend making the trip. Um, and I'm taking my own advice because I'm taking my family and we're going next month or next week. I mean, so make it to
And you
Disneyland.
and the other nice thing about Disneyland is you can go on a summer trip and you're not going to completely melt. That it can get
Well,
hot
that's
there.
how I convinced my husband that we needed to go, because the weather forecast for Orlando next week is high 90s, thunderstorms every day because it always rains in the summer in Florida. But I think the high is 80 next week. The lows, 64, perfect light jacket weather. And it's just such a nice experience to walk around and not feel like you're going to pass out. So I definitely, if you're going on a summer trip, I have to say I recommend California.
And so that makes you, at least makes me ask the question, why am I here and not in Southern California right now? So,
Yeah, exactly. It's hot here. A
yeah.
low about, you're in
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, right?
Well, I'm in Morgantown, West Virginia right now, which is
Oh,
right below, yeah, right. We're 6 miles from the Pennsylvania border. So, yeah, same general area that we're getting the same 90-degree weather that you're getting in humidity. And welcome to Florida.
yep. That's what my son and I went on an adventure yesterday, and he's like, Mom, it's so hot. I said, I know. I feel like if I'm going to be this hot and we're outside, we should be in Disney World. It's just
Maybe
not worth it here.
we have to pass a law and make that if it's that hot, you have to go.
You have
Might
to
as
go.
well. So again, if as you everyone has heard about, and Amanda, what you have said has been echoed by pretty much every guest I've had on who has talked about Disneyland, is that it is a familiar-ish experience because you've been on some of the attractions and there's kind of a similar layout and it's Disney and you get the same characters and the same theming and stuff like that. But it is different. And it is not just, hey, let's go to Disneyland West or go to Disney World West. It is different and so worth the trip to go out there. Now, again, since I'm in a similar boat to you, that it's a 2 hour flight for me to get to Florida as well. So it's the park that I will go to the most often. And there's so much to do there that it's hard to pass that up. But setting time aside to make a trip out to California, and by the way, talk to Amanda or I or one of the other Dreams by Design travel agents, and we can definitely make this, happen for you. That is so worth the trip out there.
Yes. And it's easy to make it a cultural experience and sightsee in California. It's not difficult to make it a 7-10 day vacation and sightsee and really enjoy your time out there. So it doesn't have to be a short, long weekend trip. It can be fulfilled even for 7-10 days.
And that's the last time we went out, is that we spent 3 days at Disneyland, and then we spent another three, four. We went to LA. We got to see the Hollywood sign. We went to Santa Monica Pier, and we saw the Grauman's Chinese Theater and the Walk of Fame, and went to Beverly Hills and got to see, walked down Rodeo Drive and looked in all the windows for stuff that we couldn't afford. And
Yeah. So that's kind of, the flight's a little longer, so we want to make the most of it and make it a memorable family vacation.
so, Amanda, your travel tip for the episode?
So mine is, people say, why are you, because I have a baby, why are you going on this trip? She's so young, she won't remember. But I think that's the worst advice, to wait until your kids are old enough, because who says what's old enough? Life is short, tomorrow's not promised, so take the trip and make those lifelong memories. And your experience is just as important as your kids, and you're going to remember these moments. The first time they see a fireworks show and their eyes light up, or they see their favorite character that they know, they might not remember when they're 30, but you always remember those sweet moments. So don't wait, take the trip. You can take a vacation on almost any budget, and we would love to help you do that.
And we're to give Amanda's social media information in a minute, but I definitely recommend you look back around early June-ish for your posts. That Amanda posted something that melted my heart, and I'm not crying, you're crying. That your young one's a daughter, it's a girl, correct?
Yes.
That she had her daughter in Disney World with Goofy, and her daughter was just looking at Goofy and giggling and just bursting out laughing. It was the cutest thing, and Goofy's reaction to it was just as sweet. That Goofy kind of covered his mouth and like put his hand on his chest, and I thought Goofy was going to start crying too because of it. That
he almost didn't want us to leave. Like, he kept holding on to her. He wanted to still play with her, and she was only 6 months old on that trip. And oh my gosh, I will remember for the rest of my life how she lit up and when she saw him. She absolutely loved it.
and you have the video so that whenever it's on time, whenever she's older and it's time for her first date, you show it to her date when he comes in. It just completely embarrass her too.
Yes. It'll be one
Oh,
of those things that probably gets shown at her wedding one day.
absolutely. And you said about the kid not remembering. My earliest memory is a few months before I turned 3 years old of being at Walt Disney World in Busch Gardens in Florida.
Wow.
That is the earliest back that I can remember. So
So I don't know what my earliest was, but I know that my favorite memories are vacations with my family. And whether it was, driving down, we're not far from Gatlinburg, driving down to Gatlinburg and staying in a cabin, or making it to Walt Disney World, spending those moments with your family and loved ones you remember forever.
and I don't know if it was you, Amanda, or one of the other agents who posted this, that, well, and as someone calls, no, I'm going to cancel you. Of course. Decline you. There we go. That you posted about people who say that I don't want to bring my kids because they won't remember. You still read to your kids when they're that young and they won't remember it.
Yeah.
So taking them to Disney doesn't, even if they won't remember it, it doesn't mean much. That you can help build these it's your memories too as a parent, but you can build things, and it doesn't always, not a memory, but it can have an impact. And having your kid, if you take them when they're a little bit older, their first time seeing Mickey Mouse, a lot of the little kids are scared. But if they've seen them whenever they were one, then they were two, and then it can desensitize them, and then it can lead to a more enjoyable experience as they go on.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
and you never know, maybe they'll come travel advisors because they had those early experiences, and that's their first memory.
Yep, they might.
So my travel tip, already mentioned it before, that even if you're a Walt Disney World veteran, go to Disneyland. It's the same thing, just different, right? It's similar. Some things are familiar, but there is a difference to it. And it's worth going to see the things that are different.
I agree.
So, Amanda, thank you very much for joining me. It's been
Thanks for
great.
having me.
For everyone out there, if you have a destination or experience that you would like us to discuss on the Where Yinz Goin podcast, or if you'd like to share your favorite destination, a travel tip, feel free to contact me. I would love to hear your feedback and ideas. Amanda, how can people get a hold of you?
You can email me at amandab@dreamsbydesigntravel.com. And I'm DBD Amanda B on Facebook and DBD Amanda Brown on Instagram.
DBD Amanda B. That just flows so nicely. And don't forget the B in there too for
Yes.
Amanda B. For me on social media, I'm at Matt with DBD on Facebook X, and Instagram. Stumbling over words here. In email, I'm Matt, MATT, at dreamsbydesigntravel.com. Our website for our company is dreamsbydesigntravel.com. Don't worry, all this information is in the show description. So if you want to contact us to book a trip, or if you have any questions, it's all going to be there. We're also going to have the information to reach our other Dreams by Design travel agents. So if one of those directed you to this episode, please book your trip through them. And or if you find it on their pages, go and talk to them. They can give you just as good of an experience with the trip as we could. Please like, follow, subscribe, leave a review, tell a friend, get the word out if you liked what you heard about this podcast. Join us next time. We're heading out in that. We'll see you later.